All right, now we're live. So, rough is an understatement about the game. 63-10. That is that destroyed the spread. So yeah, we're here. We were hoping at least maybe be closer, but it didn't work out that way. So I'm here with a guest. I'll let him introduce himself. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, hey everybody, Matt McKay. You might recognize me from some of my work at the Towel Rack, also on the theREDout podcast as a co-host with Devin Stewart. Um, I'm a I'm an insurance agent by day and a topper by whenever I clock out. So, yeah, love the tops and grown up around Western. Been around Western for years. Excited to be on. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So it's fresh in the wound. So I'm gonna pour some salt in it. Immediate. I mean, immediate reaction. You
Great,
haven't
drop
had
it
no
in,
time.
brother. Drop it in.
All right. So immediate reactions to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bummer. Coming into the game, you kind of look at Ohio State and you think, maybe we got a chance to keep it close. Maybe in a dream world, somehow we could possibly win or whatever. And it just, after the 14-10 start, where you kind of have some hope, it just completely melted down and turned into uh, what you didn't want to see, and that's just a complete and utter blowout. So yeah, not sure what to think at this point.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like we could maybe be in a little bit of a shootout. Maybe we still probably going to lose by double digits, but at least kind of make it a little bit of a shootout there. And then Marvin Harrison bombed it for 75 yards, and it looked like they just didn't know what to do after that.
Oh yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah,
they kind
coach
of built
was
up.
super aggressive too.
Yeah, kind of built up your hope a little bit, and then you feel like you got a shot at something, and kind of show the world who you are, and then it just, yeah, I thought for sure we would cover the spread. Uh, Definitely didn't do that, and we just did a lot of stuff that we just haven't done up to this point this year. So it's kind of like, obviously they're very good and everything, and they woke up, but um, somewhat, where did that come from, and where did all of that come from? It was a lot of panic. It felt like on the field, so unfortunate.
Yeah. So I know, Ben, you were talking a little bit during the game, and you wanted to talk about the offensive line.
Yeah, well, especially at the time that we were talking about it, there were definitely some mistakes there, some just decisions. Like, obviously you play a good opponent, you're going to get beat every once in a while. You're going to give up a sack or whatever. But there were some just kind of dumb things. Like, I noticed Mark Good at one point just kind of whiffed on everything and blew up a play. Wes Dorsey missed a block. That was pretty obvious. There were several that you're just like, yeah, I haven't seen huge mistakes by this offensive line like that. And it was really decision making. It wasn't like they just got beat. They just missed everybody. Like, pick a guy and at least stop one of them. You got two of them coming at you. Don't miss both. Um, so make it a little difficult for them. And so I just think now that we have the full game in the rear view, it's more just like the entire, Helton included. I think everybody just panicked. Like the 4th and 6 from the 40, I thought that was one of the dumbest individual decisions that I think we've made from a head coaching perspective since the 4th and 2 from your own 20 from Mike Sanford. Like, I against Maine when we were tied, it was like to that level of like, why? Like, you're in the game. I don't understand
Yeah.
why you play completely different this game versus how you handle every other game. Like, I don't think that sends a good message when you're battling in the game, and then you go all in when you're on your own 40. Just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I think it's just, in general, it was just panic everywhere, not protecting the ball, missing assignments, um, miscommunication between receiver, quarterback, whatever it was. It was just a general theme of just kind of got rattled and didn't get it back together. So
So a big story probably was Malachi Corley wanting to be the villain in the game. What were your impressions of Malachi Corley? I know early on he looked really good, and then kind of later in the game it kind of just disappeared.
yeah, he definitely got off to a good start. I think in the first half he had 60 something yards. He only ended up with 88. I think he showed up. It wasn't like he was
Yeah.
invisible, but he definitely wasn't very present
Mm-hmm.
after the game kind of blew open. Um, and I think, I think he acquitted himself okay, but he certainly didn't. Um, I wouldn't say he made money today. You know, like when you're a big time receiver or you're trying to be a big time receiver on a national scale, you get an opportunity to show
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and he did well, but he wasn't extraordinary. I think. I mean, if we're talking receivers, I think the most obvious um, kind of big standout issue was Blue Smith, the Ohio
Mm-hmm.
State transfer. He had obviously had the penalty early, which I hadn't really articulated this out loud really to anybody, but I've been concerned about his kind of his countenance at the games, like watching him on the sideline and seeing how he interacts, and he's kind of talking and stuff, and he finally drew a penalty for it at a big moment that almost cost us a field goal. And then he, on that pick six, he just kind of sat
Yeah.
there and watched it happen in some ways, which in the moment you kind of look at it like, come on, dude. But I mean, some of it's just kind of, it happens, but it's just, it wasn't a very good game from him at all. And I think you wanted to see him against his old team come out and get, 100 and something yards and really stick it in their face. And he, in fact, pretty much did the opposite. Only had 30 yards, a couple catches, and really had more negative plays than positive. So that'd be my kind of standout receiver versus. I mean, Corley was kind of about what he maybe should have been ish. Maybe you want a little more, but uh, he did his job and showed up at least.
Mm-hmm. The defense was really bad. They
Yeah,
got ran
what do you
over. They
say
got
about it?
thrown on. They got you name it. They got it. I mean, it was rough. I mean, I think a lot of Western fans were obviously worried about the run, the way we've been defending the run game the first couple
Mhm.
games. But turning Kyle McCord into a prime Tom Brady sitting in the pocket throwing on us like it was nothing. That that was not
Yeah,
good either.
yeah, a lot of wide open receivers, especially even to start the game. Like you hope. Like obviously we came out and we were in a zone and they run a little hitch or whatever, but there wasn't anybody within 6 or 7 yards on the first play. And it's like this is what we come out with. Like you just want to see like okay, throw it in a tight window, fine, but don't throw it to a wide open guy for 10 or 12 yards, whatever it was. I don't know, but uh, that was kind of like, okay, that's not ideal. And then, they kind of bust some runs and, they kind of do it easily. And then you just kind of see that. I mean, we were definitely outmanned. They have so many good, talented athletes. That was part of it. You're not gonna shut them down, especially with your lack of size and like you don't have 4 and 5 star guys out there for the most part. You have a couple former 4 stars that that got washed out of the Power Five, but other than that, you really don't have that level of talent. But yeah, it's just we knew that the defense was a concern. Obviously, you hope not to give up 63. There were 2 defensive touchdowns, so that kind of balloons the numbers a little bit, but still, you give up almost 600 yards, and you do give up a couple hundred on the ground. And like you said, Kyle McCord did look like he could just do whatever he wanted to, and you just don't like to see that. I mean, you'd like to look fairly competitive out there, if nothing else, and then we just kind of looked like we didn't know what we were doing almost. So, did force a couple
So my
turnovers.
question to you would be,
Yeah, sorry, man. I was just going
My
to say, I
question to
mean,
you,
yeah, maybe there's a delay. I'm sorry, man.
yeah, it's all good.
Turnovers, yay, good job. All right, go ahead.
Um, so my question to you is this game a big concern going forward? Obviously, the level of competition drops drastically. So do you believe that this is a sign that maybe we're not as good as we think we are, or it's just Ohio State is just too good?
Well, I think it's a slight concern. Like obviously Ohio State woke up because they did not show this level of excellence in their first couple games. Like they only scored 23 against Indiana. They only scored 35 against Youngtown State, who clearly is not going to be as good as a WKU. And so they were struggling to get things done and to accomplish everything they wanted to in some of these other games. So they were absolutely better. Their receivers showed up and had really nice games, all that type of stuff. The running backs were able to run. I mean, uh, it's still concerning though because you didn't show any kind of improvement from giving up tons of yardage to South Florida. Now you have concerns about your secondary. Like, are we going to get picked apart by a decent quarterback? It does bring in some concerns, but I think it's hard to tell what this means. In my opinion, I mean, obviously Ohio State is still top five ish type level, certainly talent level in the country, and it's hard to compare. Um, I think obviously we're going to learn a lot playing Troy next week. I mean, that's more of a comparable New Year's Six type of level of opponent, and so if we're not ready to go against Troy, we're going to struggle, and we're definitely going to have to improve defensively and be able to stop somebody at all, or it could be quite the long day. I mean, we'll see. Um, Fortunately, you don't play any conference games until your fifth game, and so you can kind of. I mean, we could even screw up against Troy and still be fine in terms of getting ready for the conference. And I think if you think about, Bailey Zappi, where the team kind of started slow, but they ended up making a championship appearance, and the defense was awful that year, by the way, and they improved enough to not be horrendous at the end of the year and gave themselves a chance to win a championship. So it's not panic mode. You have good pieces on the back end of the defense. You have Donut Evans. You've proven that you have wide receiver depth. You have receivers. You have an offensive line that's capable. Um, you have River Helms that started to step up a little bit. I mean, you got some nice pieces. Just got to put it together. So I don't think it's panic mode, but I'm sure there are going to be some people that are going to start to doubt the Tops, and that's understandable when you get blown out that bad.
Speaking of Troy, that is the next game. It is on the road. It is going to be interesting to see if WKU comes out hot, mad. We got embarrassed on a national stage. People are starting to doubt us. We're going to go out and beat another group of five team that everybody likes as far as like a conference contender, as maybe a New Year's Six sleeper, or if they come out flat and look like they did today. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Do you kind of feel like they're going to come out slow? Do you feel like maybe they'll come out angry? Like, I know one thing that's been concerned about every WKU fan is play calling. That is something they're going to have to eventually address because calling screens 100 times a game is not going to win games.
Yeah, I'll definitely be interested to see how they come out. I think one thing about this game is hopefully they know that this was not satisfactory, and obviously they have a lot to get better at. This exposed a lot of their issues, so hopefully they respond like they should and they get back to work and they humble themselves and realize that this isn't going to be a cakewalk. There are a lot of signs from Conference USA that it's stronger than people thought it would be, and I think that. Um, we need to you're going to need to buckle down and get things done and get moving and get ready here within the next couple of weeks to start conference play. And so um, I do I think that WKU will come out ready to go. I'd like to hope so. It's interesting with Troy. Obviously Troy was supposed to be really good this year. They've looked kind of human as well. They gave up 30 to Stephen F. Austin. They scored 48 against them, but they gave up 30 against Stephen F. Austin, and then they got blown out against Kansas State, which is to be expected. They're very early against James Madison, but it looks like James Madison has a 3-0 lead. Um, but maybe it's two teams that are trying to figure out if they're going to be any good this year, or if they're going to meet the expectations that they really need to. So it becomes an interesting matchup in that way. Maybe one team over the other gets that boost to kind of propel themselves forward. So we'll see. I really sincerely hope that this lights a spark and gets the tops going, and we pull together the defense and have something we can really work with.
All right. Well, trying to think of what else we could talk about. I mean, it was a bloodbath. That's for sure. I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you had to write predictions for Tile, right? But do you kind of have a prediction for maybe a slight prediction, maybe not a score, but how you see Troy going?
For Troy? Yeah. Well, I'm really interested to see how they do tonight. It looks like it's kind of a defensive battle with them and James Madison. I mean, I think it's already the end of the first, and it's like 3-0. So, I mean, not a lot to get from that so far. I'd like to think that we win. I think it may take us another week to get the defense together. And I don't want to pick a loss in what should be a coin flip type of game, and hopefully WKU makes that next step and really announces that they're serious. But I may honestly lean a little bit towards Troy in that one. It's an away game. It's going to be a good environment. Whenever I was down there at Troy, it was loud and their fans were crazy and all that kind of stuff. And they've been good the last couple of years, and they have high expectations. So I think it's going to be a good environment. I think also they really matched up well with us last year. They were able to handle our receivers because they had really good DBs. And so they were able to shut down some of that screen game, and it created a lot of problems for us. So I think their coach really knows what he's doing. And I think we may drop one to Troy, and then I think we'll come back together, and I think we'll make a run at Conference USA. But I think we'll have a little bit tempered expectations in terms of New Year's 6 by the end of next week. I'll say Troy 27, WKU 23. Bummer, because I didn't want to feel that way heading out of Ohio State. But to be honest and realistic, I'm kind of wondering if we'll struggle another week with that defensive issue. And recovering from injury, too. You still got a ton of receivers that are injured. So it's a huge factor in trying to figure out if we're going to be successful immediately or if it's going to take a few weeks to get everybody back healthy.
I guess if that's the one thing you can pull from the Ohio State game, nobody really got hurt. So that's one positive I guess you could pull away from the game.
Yeah.
Last thing, I'll let you get out of here. What's the first thing that WKU needs to do to fix their problems?
Well, I mean, one thing is get everybody healthy. Like I just said, Matheson it seems like he should be close to coming back at this point. He probably will not be back against Troy from what I've heard. I think he may be back first game of conference. I don't know. But that's kind of the timeline that I've heard. He could be close. Greg Burt didn't play this game, I don't think. And also Dalvin Smith didn't play that I know of. Wait, hold on. I may be wrong on that. I'm thinking maybe I looked at the stats and maybe one of those did play. So I don't want to misspeak. But anyway, I mean, you have several receivers that have been injured. So I think get healthy. I've also heard that there there were some other guys, maybe defensively, that haven't played that might be starters. Um, Craig Burt did play. I apologize, but he's still 3 catches, 20 yards. So anyway, he's still kind of coming back from getting nicked up a few weeks ago. So you've had some of that stuff. Dalvin Smith didn't play at all. He would have been pretty helpful. Nice long body. Could have helped against some big athletes. So get everybody healthy. And then I think you've got to find somebody on the defensive line, maybe another linebacker besides Donut, that can produce something consistently every single week. I think you've got enough in the back end of the defense. You've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that we know their names and we know they can make plays, but you don't have a defensive lineman that you say this guy is going to blow up the edge or this guy is going to blow up the middle and cause all kinds of problems. So you really need defensive line, and I think the offense still needs to come together just a little bit more. Austin Reed hasn't been very accurate. If you look at some of his stats, he's about 60%. He was 21 of 37 tonight. You've had some different issues there, but he hasn't been as accurate as he was last year. So I think that's just a few things that we definitely need to resolve going forward, or it's going to be it'll just be more difficult to accomplish things. I think we're good enough that as long as we keep improving, we'll be in the hunt. But there are a lot of good teams in Conference USA, it seems like, and we need to improve some of those things to be able to be the one that comes out on top.
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions. I think we're good. I think we had a little bit of decompression on the game a little bit.
Yeah, I feel
so
better.
I think that's all I'll do for tonight. I'm feeling crappy, so I'll let you go and you have a good night. We'll
All right,
try
man.
and drink our sorrows away tonight. It's a rough one tonight.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. So that's
All
all,
right. Take care.
everybody. If you want to tell everybody where they can find you before I.
Oh yeah. At REDout Podcast, and at the Towel Rack WKU is our Twitter. I'm Matt McKay if you want to look me up personally. And we have pages on Facebook and Twitter and or X or whatever it's called now. And but yeah, check out our podcast, give us a like, subscribe, check out the YouTube. And we appreciate anybody that follows along.
All right. All right. So that's going to be it for the stream. Everybody have a good night.
All right, man. Go Tops.